I've always been counted out my whole life. Well, he's doing all right, but he's still too small. I just wanted to show people I could play.
Thomas, shake, crossover, step back.
Isaiah Thomas, number 60 in the 2011 draft. And for those of you who don't know, there is not a 61.
Thomas! Oh, you don't want that! You don't want Kings basketball!
Thomas from deep. Oh!
60th pick was just a number. Every year I had to fight that battle of, okay, I'm better than this guy, and I'm gonna show you.
Isaiah, 7 on the clock. Yeah. Thomas.
Here's Thomas weaving through traffic with the right hand off the glass.
I hope people appreciate what they're seeing in this guy, Isaiah Thomas.
He is a super special player.
Fourth quarter, how's Isaiah play? This dude is money.
Thomas on the drive, pull-up jumper, it's good! Isaiah Thomas!
He proved himself, and you know what I mean? He wasn't picked, you know what I'm saying? He made himself valuable, you know what I'm saying, against a lot of odds.
A year ago, we opened the finals at the Forum in Inglewood, California. But this year, the home court advantage belongs to the Detroit Pistons, who battled all year to gain it. It'll be game one of the finals. The Detroit Pistons.
So my dad, a big Laker fan, my dad's side of the family's from LA. So brainwashed into being a Laker fan growing up. My dad had a little wager with one of his best friends. If the Pistons beat the Lakers, he'd name me Isaiah Thomas.
World champs.
It's spelled different because my mom liked the name, but she grew up in church and wanted it spelled the biblical way. Luckily, I became a basketball player, and it was a little bit of luck in that. So I'm from Tacoma, Washington, about 40 minutes south of Seattle. Basketball was the first thing I fell in love with. My parents always said I had a ball in my hand since I was a little boy.
It up. The veteran Hugh Hollins will toss it up. The Sonics' quest for a championship has begun.
My dad took me to my first Sonics game, Stephon Marbury and KG. Basketball, since that day, since I was able to, be in the tunnel, slap NBA players' hands, like that changed my life. I felt like that's what I wanted to be since that day.
Seattle has always been a basketball city. From the days of Doug Christie to a modern wave led by the likes of Paolo Banchero, rainy nights in the Pacific Northwest usually mean one thing: time in the gym. It's in those gyms that some of the game's best have been born. And for a young Isaiah Thomas, that meant growing up surrounded by NBA role models, one of which was similar in size.
The first one that I seen was Nate Robinson.
Down to 5. Here goes Robinson.
What a shot by Nate, good grade.
And then obviously he was a little dude. He could jump out the gym, was electrifying, and someone I really wanted to be like. And then I got to know him growing up. The biggest one, obviously, as you guys know, is Jamal Crawford.
Crawford. Ooh, nice move, and the foul.
Jamal Crawford, Jason Terry. Those are two guys that really mentored me. Those are the three guys from the city that really helped me and mentored me into growing into the man I am today.
Basketball is a tall man's game. And standing just 5'6" entering high school, Isaiah knew the math wasn't in his favor. So he started to study the players who had already solved the problem.
Damon Stoudemire was a big one for me. He was from Portland, which is close. That was kind of who I emulated my game after. Lefty that could shoot it, had super handles. He was a guy that really like paved the way and helped me in things that I was searching for. Like, what do I got to do to make it to the NBA as a small guard? And he was a guy that like, you got to be able to knock down shots. You got to be able to be creative in the paint. You got to be able to be unpredictable. That was the first guy that kind of was like giving me the game of how to make it as a small guy. You got to do things like at a high level that most guys don't have to do. Like, so I got to be exceptional every time I step on the floor.
Exactly.
And you know, it's not fair, but that's just the way of life.
Isaiah Thomas trots the ball across midcourt, now between the circles, picked up way outside, and he drains it.
When I grew up, I played a year up all the time.
Okay, right.
And I was a guy that like, my team was really good, so I didn't really play a lot. When I got the opportunity in high school, I went to a high school that guys don't usually go to, because I knew I would have a chance to just play right away.
Right.
And when I got to high school, that's when everybody started to realize like what I already knew.
There is not a shot in the gym that Isaiah Thomas thinks he can not hit.
Once the city started to recognize it, I was going to my high school games, people trying to take pictures, signing autographs. That's when I realized like I'm a little different. And then obviously down the road, it just started to get bigger and bigger and more people started to have eyes on me. And I just took advantage of every opportunity I got every time I stepped on the floor.
As a junior at Curtis Senior High School, Thomas had put the entire Pacific Northwest on notice, averaging over 31 points per game his junior season. This was enough to earn recognition as one of the top players in the area. And as IT's popularity grew, so did his list of interested college programs.
I was gonna follow in the footsteps of the older Isaiah Thomas. I was gonna go to Indiana. That was my first scholarship offer. So I was gonna commit during my junior year. Then my dad like, let's just wait a little bit. And I waited. That coach got fired 2 months later.
On April 20th, 2006, Thomas would elect to stay home for his college career, accepting a scholarship offer from the University of Washington.
I didn't go to Indiana. I was like, shit, I might as well stay at the crib. Nate Robinson got it cracking. Brandon Roy got it cracking. Like, it looked like it was jumping. They were the #1 seed that year, too. I had to get my academics right in order for me to accept the scholarship at University of Washington. So I did an extra year of high school at the prep school. The coaching staff hit me like, we got to make a move. Like, it was already always on the radar a little bit, but he's like, we got to make a move to get your grades in order so you can accept the scholarship. So it was a move that I had to make quick, and they kind of already had the connection out in Connecticut with the coach out there who worked for Nike, Rafael Chilius. And it was something I had to do right on the spot. It's something I didn't want to do. I knew if I didn't, that was going to mess up my ultimate goal of trying to get to the NBA. Looking back at it now, that was probably one of the best decisions of my life because it made me grow up faster than I needed to. I was on my own at 16. The competition was way better. Like, that was the best competition. I was playing against guys like Michael Beasley, OJ Mayo, like all those guys that were like big names in high school. Like, I was playing against those guys. So it definitely made my transition easier to go into college, but that was the toughest shit I ever had to go through.
I want to thank my guys over at Clover for sponsoring this video. Picture this with me. You're handling life, grinding through the week, and then a random expense pops up. Gas, extra groceries, a bill you forgot, something goes wrong with your car, and payday still feels far away. That's why I wanted to put you on to Clover. Clover is an earned wage access app designed to help you get access to your money sooner, not a payday loan. And you can advance up to $400 before payday with no interest, no credit checks, and no late fees. And I know what you're thinking. What's the catch? The thing I love about Clover is it's straightforward. You can either wait a few days to receive the advance, or if you need it right now, you can pay a small express fee for an instant deposit. And there's no monthly membership fee required just to get an advance. For me, I appreciate the peace of mind that comes with knowing that I have a backup option in case an unexpected expense comes up before payday. So if you're short on cash, access up to $400 with no credit checks and no late fees with Clover. Click the link in the description so they know I sent you. Not all users will qualify. Advances range from $25 to $400. Average advance is $160. Express transfer fees may apply. Thanks again to Clover for sponsoring this video. Back home in Washington, Isaiah Thomas would make the jump to college basketball. He had grown up in his 2 years on the East Coast and would now be following in the footsteps of one of his closest friends and mentors.
When I went to UW, I didn't know what number I wanted to do, because in high school I was always number 11 after Isaiah Thomas. I remember Nate called me one day, he's like, "Bro, why don't you just wear number 2? I'm like, "I don't know about wearing number 2. And then he just kind of forced me to wear number 2, and it was dope, because when he blessed me to wear number 2, it was like, it gave me extra motivation. Like, I got to take out of the footsteps of Nate Robb.
Goes to the hands of Isaiah Thomas, and the little guy down the middle throws it up and in. Going with subs, Isaiah Thomas for a 3.
Gutierrez missed the 3 from the corner, and here come the Dogs again. Nice pass again by Thomas.
Pick and roll. Little big man. Nice.
I was hyped to be able to, put on for the state of Washington, to be able to, go to a big-time college and just hoop. It was probably the best experience of my lifetime. Like, college was so dope. Man, we happened to be pretty good. Like, we went to Sweet 16 one year. We went to NCAA tournament 3 years in a row.
He can let it go quickly.
Isaiah Thomas only 5'8". Look at him.
I just came in with that hometown swag, and I always had that confidence in myself and that belief in myself that I was the best player in college. Like, I always felt like that individually. So when I got the opportunity, it was like, I just got to take advantage of it.
Isaiah Thomas's career as a Husky would see him become one of the most elite players in the program's history. He would win the Pac-10 Freshman of the Year, be named to the All-Pac-10 team 3 times, and even earn the honor of All-American. But despite a legendary career in Washington, the most memorable moment would come on the same court that IT had grown up watching his idol Kobe Bryant play, in the 2011 Pac-10 Championship.
And we're tied 75 again.
It was in Staples Center. That's where, like, my idol was Kobe Bryant. The whole time that possession, the fast forward to that possession, when coach let me go 4 flat, I'm thinking, oh, I'm doing Kobe.
Isaiah, shot clock turned up.
I think the day before, Kemba Walker hit his step back.
Yeah, he made a
So it was already
right?
in my mind that, like, this is my chance.
He's gonna do it himself. Thomas, shake, crossover, step back. At the buzzer.
And it was just like, everything you dreamed of, being outside at the park when you're little, counting down from 10. That was like a moment that, I'm gonna cherish forever. It's funny because when I hit the shot and, like, that night, I kind of knew I was going to the league. Like, I was like, man, I'm putting my name in the draft after that. Like, other than winning a national championship, my stock wasn't really gonna go no higher. So I was like, it might be a wrap.
Despite a decorated college career, the 5'9" Isaiah Thomas faced an uphill climb in the NBA draft process, something expected for the shortest player in the class. In the entire history of the league, only 10 players had ever been drafted at 5'9" or shorter. If Thomas wanted to turn his hoop dreams into reality, he'd have to fight for it.
Yeah. I was hearing, like, I was beginning of the second round, middle of the second round. Damon Stoudemire, Gary Payton at that time, Jamal Crawford, Jason Terry. They set out a formula for me, and I went by it every day. I trained every day. I trained 2 to 3 times a day, and I really just bet on myself. I said, if I get the opportunity, I know what I'm gonna do with it. I probably had like 20 workouts, that pre-draft. So I was chasing everybody. A few second-round guys that got picked ahead of me.
Like I told people before, I feel like if you put me against anybody, I show you I'm not that small.
I need one team to fall in love with me, and that's my plan. And I'm gonna just go all out.
Where do you see yourself 5 years down the road?
On the NBA team, having a great first 4 to 5 years of my career in the NBA.
So I had a little draft party with my family and my close friends. And it's crazy because I was at the University of Washington with all my UW teammates. We wasn't really watching the draft. We was just on the court, just shooting around, shooting the shit, and trying to get my mind off the draft. My friends and my family was out at the apartment complex because we had a little get-together. So I remember that was the longest day of my life. I destroyed dudes. I destroyed them. I destroyed them. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. I destroyed them, and that's why it was frustrating on draft night. Cause I'm like, dang, what else do they want? Like, we went head to head. Guys is getting drafted before me. I've had better college careers than them.
The Lakers have 4 picks in the second round, and they needed guards. And they told me, if you're there at that point, we taking guards. And I had a really good workout. They took, I think, 2 guards. One guard played maybe that first season. The other guard never even had an NBA game. Once that was done, that's when I started to think like, damn, I might not. We're gonna have to figure this out. Like, I might not get drafted. I remember my mom calling me. She's like, are you good? Are you all right? I'm like, I mean, I'm okay. She read a scripture out. It was like, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. One of the scriptures in the Bible. And at that point, I'm listening, but I'm like, damn, did I make the wrong decision? I remember at the 58th pick, I end up leaving the gym because I'm gonna head back to the apartment because the drive about to be over. So I'm like, I'm gonna just head back to the apartment and see what's happening over there. My agent called me right when I get to the apartment. He like, the Kings are gonna pick you with the last pick. And when he called me and told me that, it's crazy. It was like a movie. My parents don't even know yet. So I walk in at like the 59th pick. And they didn't even know. They over there kind of sad because they're not even knowing that, and the draft's almost over. It said Adam Silver. It said the Kings select
Isaiah Thomas from the University of Washington. Good night, New Jersey.
Like, I didn't even care if it was the last pick at that point. And then you know how they do. They call you after. We can't wait to see you. We can't wait to have you here. We think we got a steal in the draft. And once they were saying all that, then I was like, okay, I got a chance. Like, this is all I asked for.
You know, my back was against the wall because that year was the lockout year. We didn't have no summer league. So, you know, summer league is where I could have got busy and, you know, got a guaranteed deal. The lockout was over, like, I think the day before Christmas or something.
So at first, I wasn't playing at all. Like, my rest in peace, my first coach was Paul Westphal. They said I was on the team, but like, he didn't say I was gonna get a chance or anything. So going into the training camp, I was just like, I'm gonna pick guys up full court. I'm gonna outwork guys. I'm gonna be the first, like literally I'll be the first guy here, the last guy to leave. At that point, I had a lot of time on my hands. So I was always in the gym. I was at Jimmer for that every day. And I got all respect for Jimmer. He was just in the way with what I was trying to do. Then we had Tyreke Evans too, so I was just trying to figure out how to stay alive. And all I knew was I'm gonna outwork these dudes and I'm gonna just be a killer.
Isaiah Thomas, number 60 in the 2011 draft. And for those of you who don't know, there is not a 61.
Thomas, look at that pass to Thornton. If you don't like that, you don't like Kings basketball.
Oh, what a move again by Isaiah Thomas.
And then I remember Paul Westphal gets fired. Keith Smart comes in. He's playing me a little bit more. And then one day we in Detroit. He comes to me in the morning before shoot around. He's like, I want to meet with you. So we meet before shoot around. He's like, IT, I'm thinking about starting you. I'm not even knowing this is about to happen.
Right.
Look, he comes to me I'm over here trying to be calm. I'm like, starting me? He said, I'm thinking about starting you, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. He's like, if you don't do your thing, that's your ass and my ass. I was like, say no more. I was already prepared for those moments. So when I got the opportunity, I never looked back.
Isaiah Thomas now down to 5. Thomas accelerates. Here he is for the lead. Isaiah with the fancy move all the way. Isaiah to tie it. Oh, what a move by Isaiah Thomas. Put it in the book.
Everybody back at the crib, since I was a little boy, expects me to go get 20 to 25. That's just what I've always done. So like when I was able to start doing that in the league and when I went back home, it wasn't even no surprise for my closest homies. It wasn't even a surprise for the people in my city of Tacoma. They was really like on some about time, because they never seen nothing else from me.
Deep three. Isaiah Thomas. It's from the Kings. Thomas. Oh, boy. Thomas. Isaiah Thomas.
By his third year, Thomas had established himself as one of the best under 6 foot scorers the game had seen, becoming only the 5th player at his size to average over 20 points per game for a season in league history. At the age of 25, Isaiah would be part of a sign and trade deal to a potential contender in Phoenix. But late that same season, the Suns would announce that he had once again been traded. Only this time, it was to the East Coast.
I was caught off guard with that trade mid-season because we was in the playoff race. Like 5 minutes later, agent calls, he's like, you about to get traded to Boston. I'm like, I'm already thinking they just traded Rondo, so they rebuilding. Like, this would be my first time even possibly making the playoffs if I stay with Phoenix. So I was hot at the situation because I knew they were in rebuild mode, and I'm like, man, I don't want to be on a bad team again. But I remember the first person calling me after the trade, OG Isaiah Thomas. He's like, you might not think it now, but this is going to be the best. This is the best, situation for your career. So then I get traded there, and then I just, genuinely it worked out. Like, they needed somebody like me. I needed somebody like them that was going to give me a chance to go rock out.
Ooh, what a move by Isaiah. Little dipsy-do. A step back, got it at the buzzer. Blows by him. Blew by him. That's when you got to do it. Look at this from downtown. Oh, my goodness, Isaiah Thomas.
By the end of the season, Isaiah Thomas had shown the city of Boston and the franchise a glimpse of what he was capable of. And after finishing second in the voting for 6th Man of the Year, IT would be presented with an opportunity to take his career to new heights.
I remember Brad Stevens coming to me in preseason, and he's like, man, you're obviously our best player, but for this team, it'd be best you to come off the bench. And I was like, like, that hurt me because I worked hella hard that summer. I'm like, this is a good opportunity. I'm going to be starting. It hurt, but I'm like, okay, I get it. It's all good. 2 games into the season, Smart ended up getting hurt one game. I don't know how. He, messed up his toe, shoot around. He like, I'm not playing. Brad's like, you going to start tonight, but this ain't permanent. Because they knew when they said I was starting, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it and run with it. Take it and run with it. They like, it's not permanent. Smart come back, you going to go back to it. I'm like, okay. Smart comes back in 2 games, but those 2 games I had 31 and 29. Avery ended up getting hurt. So I stayed in the starting lineup, and then it was over after that.
Thomas's performance in his second year with Boston would earn him his first career All-Star appearance, not only making him only the 9th player under 6 foot to ever be named an All-Star, but also making him the lowest draft pick to be selected since the draft had been reduced to 2 rounds in 1989.
Making my first All-Star game, which was crazy because it was Kobe's last All-Star game in Toronto. So it was just, I always dreamed of that happening. No, I didn't know if it was gonna happen. I didn't know if that opportunity was ever gonna come, but I knew one thing, I was gonna be prepared for it if it did.
Thomas would average a then career-high 22.2 points and 6 assists in his new role as Boston's centerpiece, helping to lead them to the postseason as the 5th seed in the East. The Celtics would run into a hot Atlanta Hawks team in round 1, but not before Isaiah would pour in 42 points in game 3, making him only the 9th Celtic to ever drop 40 points in a playoff game. Although Boston would lose in the first round, Thomas had proven over the course of the season that he could carry a team as the first option, and finally had the canvas he needed to perform at his highest level. The addition of rookie Jaylen Brown and veteran Al Horford in the offseason meant that Boston now had a suitable supporting cast around Thomas heading into the 2016-17 season. Just 1 year after coming off the bench, the opportunity was now on the table for IT to help lead the franchise back to the top of the East.
My thing about this season was just to make the right play. Be aggressive at all times. I remember you telling me years ago, be aggressive to score every time down. That's going to open up your passing lanes for assists. So my mindset this year is just every time down, I'm looking to score and then making a play off what the defense gives me.
Scoring over 20 points in 20 of their first 21 games, the rest of the NBA was beginning to take notice of Isaiah Thomas's play with the Celtics, something that would become undeniable following a then career-high 44-point night, 36 of which came in the second half in a win against the Grizzlies. It wouldn't take long for IT to once again top his career high, as just 10 days later against Miami, Thomas would put together one of the most memorable regular season performances in Celtics history.
So by Amir on the baseline. Isaiah knocks down the three.
The only thing that's going to stop him right now is a timeout. Six for 10 threes.
Numbers Boston the other way. Crowder, Isaiah to the basket. The crowd on their feet. Thomas can't get the shot off. Crowder checks the clock, gets it to Isaiah. Deep three. Oh! 50 points for Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah's 52 points were the fourth most scored in a single game in the franchise's storied history, and made him only the fourth player in league history under 6 foot to score over 50 in a game. But most importantly, the showing propelled Thomas to star status in the eyes of the league and media, proving to the basketball world that IT had established himself as a star in the NBA.
The game just slowed down for me. Like, it was just so easy after that. No disrespect to nobody. It was just, I knew every night I was gonna get 30. Just because I had the opportunity and I prepared for it. Like, I knew where my shots was coming from. I knew all of that, and I prepared. Like I said, I prepared for those moments. I always dreamed about being the man, being on one of the best teams in the NBA, and having that opportunity.
As the new year rolled around, Thomas would lead the entire NBA in scoring for the month of January, dropping 32.9 points per night and winning the Eastern Conference Player of the Month. Simultaneously, the Celtics had been able to earn the first place spot in their division, led by a franchise record streak of 43 consecutive games of at least 20 points by Isaiah. Despite being undersized, IT had been able to dominate defenses all season long, using his explosiveness to create separation on the perimeter and finishing ridiculous shots around the rim to leave opposing teams helpless. Earning his second consecutive All-Star appearance and being voted to the All-NBA second team, Thomas would average 28.9 points and 6 assists per game in 2017, leading the Celtics to the #1 seed in the East. This display actually earned him some MVP consideration, and he would finish 5th in the voting for the league's most prestigious individual award, making him the only 5'9" player to ever be considered that highly. With big expectations on Isaiah and Boston heading into the postseason, the Celtics seemed primed for a deep playoff run. But prior to the first round against Chicago, tragedy would strike.
Tragic news affecting Boston Celtics star Isaiah Thomas. His sister was killed in a one-car accident early Saturday morning, according to Washington State Police. China Thomas.
Just one day after learning the news, Isaiah would suit up for Game 1 against the Bulls, in which he would score 33 points in a 4-point loss at home. Game 2 would see Thomas struggle to get going, continuing to play with a heavy heart as the Celtics found themselves go down 0-2. However, following the second loss, Boston would band together around Isaiah, stringing together 4 straight wins to prevent the upset by the lower-seeded Bulls. Following Game 6, Isaiah would immediately fly home to be with his family and attend his sister's funeral. With his sister on his heart, Thomas would return to the team prior to Game 1 of the second round versus the Wizards, and was clearly motivated to honor her memory. After a 33-point and 9-assist performance in Game 1, it was Game 2 in Boston that would establish Thomas as a Celtics hero.
Thomas, the jump shot, book it. It's a triple. Isaiah Thomas from deep. Thomas going to the hole. Takes it at corner. Thomas. He's got it. Isaiah Thomas is a machine. Thomas crosses, foul called, and one. Caps off a remarkable night for Isaiah Thomas. 53 points, and Boston has run away with it.
Isaiah, where is this coming from, man? Where is this coming from?
It's my sister. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday. She would have been 23 today, so everything I do is for her, and she's watching over me, so that's all her.
The second most points ever scored by a Celtic in the playoffs, Thomas's 53 points was just 1 point shy of the franchise record, and made him the first player at his height to ever put up that point total in the postseason. He had been unstoppable, playing a motivated level of basketball that can only come from someone playing with a bigger purpose, and his contributions would lead Boston to their first Eastern Conference Finals since 2012. However, behind the scenes, there was a small issue that had slowly grown into a problem, and it would not only derail the Celtics season, but change Isaiah's career forever.
So I hurt myself back in March. Karl-Anthony Towns had fell on me. Tweaked my hip a little bit, but at that point in time, I only messed my knee up, like I sprained my knee. My hip was like, I didn't feel nothing. Till a couple weeks later where I felt some discomfort in my hip. It wasn't nothing crazy. We took MRIs, everything was solid, boom. Once we hit the playoffs, the tragic news happened. My hip was slowly getting a little worse. Fast forward, I keep playing to game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I remember, no disrespect to Darren Williams, but he was on his way out. Like, he was getting a little slower. I do a move and he's just staying in front. I'm like, dang, I'm kind of fast and quick. I'm like, what happened? And I just felt like a shot in my, in my side. And I'm like, I tell the side, I'm like, it might be over, because I couldn't push off no more. And then, halftime comes, and that's when they shut it down. They're like, you're done.
After going down 0-2 against the defending NBA champion Cleveland Cavaliers, Thomas would be forced to step away from the court, unable to continue playing due to a labral tear and impingement in his right hip. Not only had this injury taken away his explosiveness at the height of his career, but it had blindsided him with just how severe its effect would be, something that many people say was a failure on the part of the Celtics organization.
We're used to guys playing hurt, right? Especially in the postseason, but the line is supposed to be when playing hurt will cause further, maybe even irreparable damage. That's when it is the job of the team doctors and training staff to say, nope, you are done.
The only thing that I would have against Boston, everybody hated Boston for what they did to me. It's a business, I understand it. I'm not tripping on it. The only thing that I think they handled wrong was not explaining to me what the extent of my injury could be if I do play. So that was the biggest thing for me that I disliked, because nobody gave me no insight. Okay, if you do play,
right,
this can happen.
We have to hear that, because if you tell us it's gonna be sore,
because it was a bone bruise.
Right.
At the end of the day, it was a bone bruise.
Right.
Like, that's what they said. So if you're gonna tell me it's a bone bruise, I'm playing 10 times out of 10.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna figure it out.
I'm gonna get through that.
So that was probably the only thing that I wish they would have done different, and I would have really sat down and really asked those questions, like, what worst case scenario, what could happen?
Michael Lee's back here with you on SportsCenter, continuing our breaking news coverage of a potential trade between the Celtics and the Cavs that would basically swap the starting point guards for the two teams that faced off in last year's Eastern Conference Finals.
It seems IT is mad because he feels he sacrificed his health under the supervision of Boston's medical staff, and feels Ainge then dealt him once the result of that sacrifice became a problem.
So I was hurt. I was hurt. I was hurt just because everything that I've done for them, everything that I went through and continue to do for them, when I could have just called it quits and went home and ended my season. And then I got hurt for them. Like, I hurt myself even more. I gave my heart to that city and that organization.
In the years since the trade, Isaiah Thomas's career has never been the same. Whether it was the difficult recovery process following the injury, or simply a franchise refusing to give Thomas the freedom to be himself on the court, the mental lows that IT has had to overcome in this journey are enough to make a man quit. But instead of giving up, Isaiah has done quite the opposite. In the summer of 2020, he had a revolutionary surgery in an attempt to fully recover from his injury. And after a legendary run of viral Pro-Am and G League performances, was finally given a shot with the young and exciting Charlotte Hornets in 2022.
You know, I've been preparing for these moments. I've been working for these moments to, you know, just to get back in, you know, get both feet back in the league. So honestly, I'm just thankful. I'm appreciative of the opportunity.
While it wasn't the same IT that fans fell in love with in Boston, Thomas was still a valuable piece off the bench and in the locker room for the Hornets' playoff push, providing a spark when he came into games and proving to be a great mentor for a young LaMelo Ball. The story of Isaiah Thomas's time in Boston may be one of the most unlikely in NBA history. The idea that a historic franchise like the Celtics would hand the keys to their team over to a 5'9" point guard who would then break multiple records and lead the team to the Eastern Conference Finals is a script that maybe even Hollywood would turn away. But the reality is, in just 3 years, Thomas was able to become a fan favorite in the city of Boston, establishing himself as one of the game's elite scorers. He played through heartbreak and injury, inspiring everyone who was willing to watch the former last pick in the draft make a name for himself in the sport he loves. And while his run with the Celtics may have ended in controversy and unanswered questions, the journey itself is something worth remembering. The time the smallest man on the court put a franchise on his back and captured the hearts of an entire city.